Welcome to Blaq-List. My name is I'm the development manager here at RedLine Contemporary Art Center. So you might be like, Andre, what does that mean? That means I am in charge of fundraising. Tiresome job. Lonely job. But as part of being on the fundraising team here at RedLine Contemporary Art Center, I manage several different areas. One of the areas that I manage is the membership program. And our membership program ranges from $35 to $85, where you can get a membership for one as an artist, or you get a membership for two. And that lets you free into exhibitions. It lets you free admission whenever we have exhibitions up, whenever coming to an opening. We have clubs, we have songs club, we have a figure drawing that happens every Wednesday that allows you free access to. So we got a lot of cool perks with our membership program. You might go to some other museums all over town, join their membership program, and their membership is like $250 for a year. I know, that's crazy. Ours is only $35. Everybody But everybody knows it's Black History Month. And now that I work here, I wanted to make sure that we got something going. I remember it was just one night, I was here working. I wasn't even working on like RedLine work. I was just here working. And it was like 8 o'clock at night. And, you know, I hear rumblings. I hear rumblings of like people in these studios. I said, I'm in the I want to know. I want to know. And when I go downstairs, first person I see, Daryl. Daryl Anderson. Artist. And he's in his studio and he's working. He's putting in work. He's like, man, we don't stop. We don't stop. We work all the time. We got it. We got to work. We got to work. And I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then I go to look what's this in their studio, and it's Tyree. Right? And then we just started chatting. We were like, we want to do something for Black History Month. And this is what it became. So big round of applause for that. But we're gonna go ahead and get to this panel. I'm gonna keep it at 30 minutes, but I know everybody has very insightful things to say. Everybody on this panel is a current or past resident artist here at RedLine. And I'm a fan of all of them, you know. And so I'm happy I get to moderate. You know, I'm not gonna be drama with it. I don't have a list of questions, but I have a list of questions. But I'm gonna let everybody go ahead and introduce themselves in the ways they would like to be introduced first, and then we'll get into it. We have this mic, us three, we have that mic, and y'all. All right, so we'll start with Devin over here. Rolling on.
Hello, everybody. I drank a little alcohol. I almost forgot I was doing this. But my name is Devin Udiaste. My residency here at RedLine ended last November. Incredible 2 years. Also a life-changing 2 years because of multiple things, but this was a staple of that. And yeah, I do mixed media work. I have all the collages in there to the left, the whole collage wall. And I don't know, other people know me as Speak. Call me Speaks. We'll talk about that later. But I'm Devin. Well,
Hello, everybody. I'm Jazz Holmes. I also was a previous resident, left last November. Was also life-changing for me because it allowed me to figure out my flow and my artist practice. So I have 2 pieces in the gallery. I have the really shiny one, the rhinestones on it. It's really hard to miss. Just kind of brings your eye there. And that's the type of work I do. I do figurative work about Southern food as I'm originally from the South. And I try to make it decadent and shiny and a celebration.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tyree Jones. I'm a figurative oil painter. My work is the piece that you see when you walk straight in with the girl and the dog. My practice revolves around color and light and storytelling in that way. And I primarily use Black figures in my work simply because that's what I know. And I want Black figures to become mainstream in art. So, yeah.
I'm Daryl Anderson, and I had an opportunity maybe 2 years ago to do a retrospective of my career, which has been like 40 years now. So it's been very exciting. So there's a blue painting in there that looks like me with all those signs attached in different languages. And then I'm a golf idiot, so I did a golf piece with Charlie Siffer, Pete Brown, and Renee Powell. So I'm always honoring those folks that I think are important because art has this tendency of lasting forever. And if it's wonderful art, it will outlive me.
Yeah.
And so now I'm gonna get into some individualized questions. I'm gonna start off with you, Devin, because you're closest to me. But I originally met you in the streets, doing graffiti, DJing, rapping, everything. And I just kind of want to know your experience. I'm gonna mess with this a little bit. And I just kind of want to know your experience off of, being an artist primarily on the underground, in the streets, and then moving kind of to a more, I don't want professional is not the word because F that, but moving into a more industry setting. What was that like for you? What were some of the changes you had to make? And where do you see yourself going now?
That was a whole lot right there. I'm originally, and I used to not talk about this that much, but I have been a lot in the last few years. I'm originally a graffiti writer. I love to paint stuff, paint on stuff. Uh, and yeah, I come from hip hop and basically like street culture. Like I grew up skateboarding, I grew up doing graffiti. I was a DJ for a long time. I met Andre, I was doing some slam poetry, DJing at their events. I was an MC for a long time. I think hip hop has really like driven my life. Um, and I don't know, I think coming in to these spaces, I think it was always a goal to get into these types of spaces like RedLine, specific galleries and residencies. And I think it's very interesting in a couple of ways, in both negative and positive ways. In the positive ways is like I never thought I could be in spaces like this, and then I made it. And also it was evident that people like believed in me and liked the work that I do, and that was really great. But I think some negative aspects too is like I don't like to be controlled. I don't like to be. I don't like gatekeepers. I don't like a lot of curators. I don't like things like that. Um, but I mean, I don't know. I think that I come in with a very weird type of mind, and I think it all sets in. I was just talking to a friend about, she asked me how graffiti really influences it. And I think the point of it is like, I'm going to do what I want, anywhere I want, whenever I want to do it, whether people like it or not. That gets some negative connotations sometimes. But I think it's great entering spaces like this because I'm not held within the constructs that people want to hold me. And I love Redline, and I love being here, but to be honest, I would still be thriving without it. I would still be doing the things that I want to do. I originally started doing art, finding my own spaces and doing my own pop-up shows at like bars and things like that. And of course, they're not establishments like this, but regardless of whether I got accepted to a residency or anything, I would still continue to do what I do, whether a curator liked me or not, whatever it is. And I don't know, I think my experience is unique within that. And I also know a lot of graffiti writers who have been in the same spot, and seeing them influenced me to be like, oh, it's okay to be in this door. It's okay to be like from the street culture shit and like, excuse my language. It's okay to be from like the street culture and like still be in spaces like this and still be accepted. And I don't, did I answer that right? I'm trying to keep on track. But as far as my experience has been, like I said, those negatives and positives, I love it because I think I'm proven, like everything I do, like I was an educator for a long time too, and still do community work. And my goal is to teach youth just like me that like you could be in spaces like this no matter where you come from, but also you don't need to be restricted in these spaces. Coming in these spaces that has made me realize I love it and I've taken what I've gotten from it, but I also like there's some people that make you feel like you need to be here in order to be something. And I realized that like you don't. Like I think it's what I make it, and I think more artists and people need to realize that. And that's no hate on nobody. I'm extremely fortunate to be in Redline. But I also encourage, I was talking to one of the artists, Marcus out here who's showing work, people who are young, like apply for this shit. Like whether you think you could be there or not, apply for it, do it, because you never know what spaces you could be in and break the doors in. And when you break through those doors, you're gonna realize you can open other doors yourself, and open those doors up for other people. So I don't know. I come from some real street shit, and I'm happy to be here. And he's absolutely right. He met a completely different Devin back in the day, you know what I'm saying? But I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be alongside these folks and all the other Redline folks. Absolutely.
Man, beautiful answer. Next, Miss Jazz Holmes. Um, so, Jazz, you're popping. There's no question about that. But what a lot of people don't know is that you are Black history, and you are called part of Black history. And I would like for you to talk about and share your experience up in Fort Collins. And talk about academia and fine arts and Blackness and all that kind of stuff.
So that's actually a heavy subject. I don't like thinking about grad school. So I actually came here from the South about 7 years ago for getting my master's, my MFA. First time living out of the South. And I went to CSU Fort Collins. And being a Black Southern woman, moving out of the South, I never realized that I would just be pigeonholed. The only work I was allowed to make was about slavery, was about pain, was about everything bad about the Black experience. And also living in the South is what I was taught. Taught the same exact thing, to just be sad, to not have any hope. It wasn't until I graduated, I actually graduated in 2020, which is the perfect time to graduate because the world shut down and I couldn't do anything at all. So that just allowed me to go back to what I loved. And what I grew up doing is, my family's huge. My grandma has 7 sisters. She had 5 brothers. My grandpa, he had 5 sisters and 6 brothers. And they all owned farms all around the South. So I grew up in agriculture. I grew up cooking in the kitchen. That's what we do for fun. So during COVID, what did we do? We went to Zoom and we just cooked as a family, like 30 people, all cooking different things, drinking, not really having a conversation, just laughing and talking about the food that we made. So I reminded myself, food, that's family, that's history, that's happiness, that's joy, that's Black joy right there. And I started making work based off of Southern food. So all of that experience kind of led me to what I do now. And it started out with colorful pieces. Like I have one piece in there that's a older piece, and it's one of the first series I made during that time, where it's a print on metal of a man holding like a basket of okra. And that's from a time that I made gumbo with my family over Zoom. And then it's turned into me adding rhinestones and beads and thinking of Mardi Gras and celebration. And that whole experience has just made me so proud of being a Black Southern person. Like, Black Southern culture is joy, it's hope, it's resiliency. In the face of all of this terrible history, we still smiled, we still made amazing food. And that's what I want to showcase in my work. That answer?
Absolutely. And I believe Black person to graduate. Yes. Is the first Black person to graduate from CSU Fort Collins Fine Arts. So he made that picture. All the way Tyree, we're gonna go to you next. Okay. Oh, real quick plug for if you have a membership with RedLine, February 22nd, we are having a private curatorial tour with Jazz at her exhibition at the Denver Botanic Gardens called Nerd. And we still have slots open. So if you don't have a membership, come see me in the back before you leave. Get a membership, and I'll sign you up for that curatorial tour. All right, Tyree Jones Evans. So back in 20 something, I was sitting on the jury for resident artists. And I got to help pick the resident artists who came in for that year. The current resident artists we have right now are not those resident artists, but Tyree, you applied during that time. And I remember you coming in for your interview. But now you are a resident artist and you didn't make it the first time, but you made it the next time. And so I'm, curious to what did you do between that first time and this next time? How did you handle that? How did you metabolize it? How did you transmute it? And to now where you are, where all night everybody's like, whose piece is that? Whose piece is that? Whose piece is that? Like, so I just, tell us about how it felt, your grind, your spirit, your artistic practice.
I love that question.
Good.
Gosh, let me run it back. Okay. So during 2020, during the George Floyd protests, was when I really got started painting. And I remember that's where I met Rochelle, because she saw some of the work, and she was telling me, come into this space, like you have what it takes. So I came into the space for the first resident art show, which we were a part of. And I remember looking at my husband and I saw the studio and I was like, that one. Like, going into that studio space, I want that one. And that's when I decided to apply. So I applied and I got rejected. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. Obviously, it's something I really want. But I'm the kind of person that when I'm told that I can't do something or something's not for me, yeah, it's fine. Then I'm gonna go twice as hard. So I was like, okay, clearly there was something there on my application that just wasn't all the way where it needed to be. So I decided to keep painting. I decided to apply for other residencies to build my portfolio, build my resume, doing one residency. And it was a way smaller residency, only 3 months, but doing that one, I met another gallerist who was like, I want to do a show with you. So I did a show with her, which got put in the Denver Post, which was awesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, my work is in the newspaper. Sorry, I'm trying to the story. And so, yeah, and then I started working with this gallerist every day. I was always there. She asked me to be a part of her co-op, which would have my work hung up year round. And so I'm working in her gallery with her. I'm part of her co-op. Though my work is selling, and then I'm realizing that this voice that I had, because painting was how I learned to speak, essentially. But the voice that I had resonated, and I could say something. And that's when this gallerist that her name is Nitsa Knoll, we got so close, she asked me to curate a show for her last year for Juneteenth. And at this point, I was also applying for the residency again, but my confidence was just, it was there, like I had done the work. My paintings were badass, like, like I'm working really hard. And so I get to the second interview and I remember doing the interview the first time I did it, I finished and I was like, oh, I was so nervous. And then the second time I had the RedLine interview, I came out, I got in the car with my husband and I just said, I think I got it. Like, I really feel like I got it. And then, I get the call, we want to invite you to be a part of it. I said, really? And they moved me into that studio that I said, I want that one. That ended up being my studio. And so I learned during this entire process that when I say I want something, then I think my mind just aligns in that direction. And it grows from there. And things take time, but they build up into such beautiful stories. And then after I got the residency, that's when I ended up doing the show with Jazz. It was called Not Another Black Art Show, which was about dismantling the idea of Black artists being this conglomerate where we all have the same stories. We all have completely different voices. Our identities are not about trauma. Our identities, for the most part, sometimes are not even about being Black. Like, we have so much more to say than just that, and our art deserves to be seen when it's not about trauma, like you were saying. And so, yeah, and then that show got picked up by 9 News, Westward, Denver Post, Denver's Magazine, and I mean, it's just skyrocketed from there. And then RedLine, of course, has been this completely transformative experience. But also, like Devin said, I know that I would still be where I am today, even if that didn't work out, because I proved that to myself the first time.
All right, beautiful. And honestly, Tyree, we went out to we went out to Milwaukee with our other friend, Alexander Richard Wilson, whose piece is over there on the side. And we went out for this like Black Painters bingo. It was very strange, but we made the most of it. And then we all get to the airport for the flight back home. The flight gets delayed like 12 hours. 2 hours into it, the airport shuts down, right? And so me and Tyree were just playing Mario Kart in the airport. It's mad uncomfortable. We're the only people. There's barely anybody in there. We're the only Black people there. We're really the only Black people in the city. We're not gonna talk about that. But and from that, that bonding, that things like that. It was a good time. Yeah. Daryl Anderson. Oh. So many things I want to ask you. Because, listen, y'all, while he's here, let's give this man his flowers. Because he's been doing this for 40 years. He was Black in the center, being an artist, pushing on, making big waves, proving everybody wrong for 40 plus years. And when there wasn't a RedLine, there wasn't other artists, there wasn't a residency program. It was all grind. It was all grind. And Black folks, and Black community and Black parents, and they're like, all that painting is cool, but you need to get a job. For real. But you've been doing it, man. And I think my question is around that. I really want and need you to share your experience of what it was to be an artist at that time, the actual realities of that. And then, I guess, when that switch hit for you, where it's no longer like, man, I'm a struggling artist, I'm doing this shit, and I'm that man, And then also, just a little side piece, I've heard about your golf era, bro, and the lore around the golf era is this man Daryl, he likes golf. He started getting into golf, and hitting up all the Black golfers and Black golf country clubs and all of that. But not only to golf, but to sell his pieces to that clientele who had the money to do those things. So I want to know a little bit of everything, and I think you should share with folks.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming, because there's a ton of wisdom, not just me, that's sitting up in front, about their wonderful careers. The gift that I got when I got here was where I get to share my journey. For me, community-wise, it was always important for me to show up. And regardless of where I showed up, whether it was in schools, whether it was at functions, whether it was at places that wasn't so accepted until I convinced them that they could live without me, to the point where that gave me all the courage to do what I do today. So I'm really happy to be here, because I was a knucklehead for a long time, only because I was confused by all the galleries when I first started becoming an artist. It took me until 35 years old to fall in love with myself, to take the biggest risk on me. You know, and once I had that, nobody and nothing was going to stop me. I was going to be extremely successful at this because whenever you can capture what makes your heart sing, it's only a matter of time. And the economics show up, the lifestyle shows up. I don't even know where to begin with all the things that I've done over time, you know? And RedLine's been a big boost for me because this was my first show in 40 years at a gallery. You know, it was like, I did a bunch of pop-ups. I used to, in the beginning, invite my friends, get great wine and salmon. When I first started, they would come up here, they would come to my shows, tell me how wonderful I was, eat up all the food, and drink all the wine, and never buy anything. You know what I mean? So, going from that point and constantly believing, I remember when I had to knock that cement off of those bricks at Ready Man, because I wouldn't go get another job. You know, I mean, I'm gonna make this happen regardless. And when I stuck to that, and I've shared a lot of times, one day I looked up, all my bills were paid, I could take a vacation, there was money in the bank. And from that point, I never looked back. So I would dream these outrageous things that I wanted to do. I had never been to China before, so I said, listen, I want to go to China. So unbeknownst to me, things hooked up where I got with the program at the University of Arizona, their gifted program, and all of a sudden there I am in the middle of Beijing sketching these pictures of Mao Zedong before you hit the Forbidden City. And that was kind of cool too, because I discovered at that time, and also in Africa, that creativity is universal. You don't even have to speak a language of wherever you are, but understanding the customs and being willing to dive into creativity. Everybody talks to you, whether it's mannerisms, whether it's language I never understand, and I have to, well, I can get it translated, which is kind of cool. But when I think about all those things, I remember going to a film festival it was called Fespaco in Burkina Faso, and Ouagadougou was the capital. But I was in Brest, we have a sister city, Brest, where I convinced the mayor in Brest that he just needed to give me a project, a public art project, and pay me a lot of money, and he could take all the credit. And I finally convinced him that was a possibility. So, but he invited me to what was it? They had a maritime celebration, so sailing ships from around the world would come to port, and it was a naval base. And so what I did is I broke out my sketch pad, he had all these different countries, and I just started sketching. And then what did I do this with? This guy from, where was he from? Anyway, he says, can I have the sketch? So I ended up doing all these sketches, giving it to all of his folks, which eventually helped him agree to pay me a lot of money to do this public art project. Well, my world has always been about, my show was about risk and change. You know, if you don't take a risk, you're not going to find out, and give yourself an opportunity to fail and then go back at it again. So that's always been my mantra, to try something I've never done before. The first public art project down at DIA was scary as all get out, because they said, here's all this money, make some art. So 3 years later, I managed to do that. And then the travel is always what I wanted to do. So I've taught in all these different places just by making things happen, because my soul is rich about creativity. And then to come here and be able to share that with artists who are starting out, giving, if I think I have a taste of wisdom, to share that wisdom, take a risk and try something. And you're going to get more no's than you get yeses. But every once in a while, yes pops out. And before you know it, there you are making your world happen. So I'm just so happy to be here, because I'm surrounded in this artist community. And we as artists, we need each other. We have to understand and work together, because my wife still doesn't understand me. She's always like, where's the money, dude? You know what I mean? And she could never, because she's always having W two and I need to, and so I'd go out and get some money, give her the money, and she, where'd you get this? I make art, you know? And so now what she does, she tells me what I need to do about the stuff that I create, like, Daryl, you're missing this, blah, 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 blah. So it's just been a beautiful journey. I mean, I didn't get married till I was 49, so that made my life delicious, you know? And I started saying yes, dears, after 10 years. Not in the beginning, because, I had some stuff going on that she needed to know. But anyway, that whole conglomeration of my life, being an artist, has been brilliant. I'm not bored anymore because this thing is always singing, what's next? What are you going to do? And we as artists, we're stuck. The moment we walk out that door, there's a subconscious creative piece being made just because we're absorbing everything. Before you know it, then we have to put it down, I must have hundreds of sketchbooks at my studio because I'm always sketching and I can go to particular sketches and tell you exactly what was going on in my life. But I couldn't help myself. I had to sketch something. I sketched something this morning, before I went on this crazy interview with these wonderful people, and they asked me a million questions. But that's how rich my life has become. So I know while I'm here, it's going to get richer. It's just going to get brighter. There's going to be more sunshine. It's going to give me permission to go where I've never gone before because the richness in this space is awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something better. Okay, I'm about to get this up because I know y'all stepping up my people. I'm gonna wrap this up because I know y'all are standing. I also want to party. I also want to hear some music because we got Moody DJ over here and I'm telling you he's top 5 in the city. I'm telling you he's top 5 in the city. I just want to do a quick plug. We got the homies Opulent Roots outside making tacos. Please go buy some. They came here without, just all the bases of what they would make. So do me a favor. And then just a last question for all y'all. First of all, thank you. I appreciate all y'all. Night intended. What was supposed to happen happened. Please go enjoy that art. Please get some drinks. I think we got another keg to get to. I really threw this to have a kegger with my friends. I'm joking. So, how are you doing? Daryl, Tyree, the Devin, the Jazz. And a simple question. What is next? No, not what's next. What is the end goal for you in terms of your artist career?
Wow, to dream the impossible, to have an opportunity to make that happen, and get rid of the fears when they're always introduced. So I'm always climbing to a better source of self, and I make my life delicious by making art.
There is no end to this, it's a journey that keeps on going. But for me, my goals are, I want my work to be seen nationally, internationally. So that's the direction that I'm heading in. Obviously, I want my work to be seen by younger generations, even if the work is in Goodwill and somebody picks it up one day and they're like, I love this piece, I just want the work to be a generational treasure, even when I'm gone. I hope that it's a sign of the times, and people can appreciate it from years down the line.
Let's see. Coming from graffiti writer perspective, the goal is to get up. So I'm like, I give away my paintings for free. 50 years from now, someone walks in and is like, yo, that's a piece for Devin. That's a goal of mine. But I think ultimately, I love the community and I love giving tools and resources to other human beings. So I think my end goal, no matter what I do, is to ensure that the people around me know that they're important, know that they're loved, know that their identity is fucking powerful, and to know that they can pursue anything that they really want to. I hope that my work and who I am and the things that I do influence the community just to keep going and do what you love. And I'm going to do as much as I can to give those resources and tools to like everybody. And hopefully, when I'm gone, a small little wave like ripples, you know what I'm saying? And someone teaches someone else, and someone teaches another person. That's ultimately the goal, to empower other human beings.
I also see no end to this. I'll never stop creating, not ending. But my end goal is to make people happy. I want my artwork to make people smile. I want little Black boys and girls and just little Black children in the South to just feel proud of themselves and where they come from. I just want to bring joy to people's faces when they look at my work, make them light up just like the rhinestones on the pieces. And just remind people that where you come from is important. We all have a part in our culture. We all are a community. We all support each other. We should be supporting each other. That's the end goal of my work. I want to talk more about that and inspire everyone.
All right, let's have one big round of applause for each of the artists. This is RedLine Contemporary Art Center. Please expect more of this all year. We have some great stuff coming up. Buy a membership, be a participant. Do not be passive. In this time period, in this era where everything is happening, do not be passive about what you are passionate about. Other than that, Moody, you ready? All right, let's get this shit cracking. We're here till 9:30, y'all.